Just letting everyone know that I'm re-recording this session as well, just so we can review and improve, and we may even post these online so other people can enjoy them. We'll get started. Thank you everyone for joining us. Really appreciate it. We did have a last minute change, and we're really glad that Jason could join us today to help facilitate this event. My name's Kim. I'm the Learning and Community Manager at Ed3 DAO. I'm happy to be here to help introduce Jason. Eugenia and Nadia, welcome. Thank you for joining us. We're just getting started. So today's workshop is about personalizing learning with AI with Jason Hom. Hom. Now, Ed3, if you don't know, Ed3 DAO is a nonprofit, and we're committed to onboarding 1 million educators into the world of emerging tech. So we focus on purposeful pedagogy-related integrations of technologies, AI, blockchain, AR, VR, and whatever else might come about in the future. So it's not just about pedagogy and just teaching what, the things that teachers are doing right now, but we really want to prepare teachers and empower them to be able to step into, the future of education, right, and to do great things. So some of the activities that we're involved in at the moment, so we have a free community for educators. We also do community grants, so we've got a round of community grants open at the moment for people to, put in a proposal, and they can get some funds from the DAO to be able to host local events, right? To spread the word about the Ed3 DAO, and also just empower and encourage educators in your local community. One thing we're very excited about are the online courses that we provide for continuing education units. All right, I think we've done about 5,000 CEUs lately, so we're really proud of that. And another thing is obviously these free events, which you are a part of one today. So thank you so much for joining us. It's good to see you, Josh. Michael, I see you there as well. Thank you for joining us. So best practices for today. The session is being recorded, just so you know. If everyone can also mute your mics as well, just so we don't pick up the background chatter from everyone's microphone. You're welcome to use the chat. Drop any questions there. I'll be watching the chat and helping to moderate while Jason facilitates. And let's help create a safe space as well. All right, be kind and respectful, and yeah, let's have a good time. I'm really excited to learn more from Jason, who's been a long time Ed3 DAO community member, and recently has just really started to work with us closer, bringing his expertise in terms of AI and technology. His experience as a technology director, former technology director at Palisades Park, and bringing that to us about how we can, what are some creative ways and interesting ways we can take AI and other emerging tech and implement them into the way that we teach on a day-to-day basis. So without further ado, I'll zip it and I'll pass it over to you, Jason. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Appreciate the introduction. Thanks everybody for joining tonight. Yes, I am filling in today for Mike, who is one of the originators of Ed3 DAO, and very proud to be a part of the group. I do want to get into the presentation right away because you have been so patient. And as you can see here, basically this is how I'm going to facilitate tonight's session. We're not going to get to all of this because there's just way too much. Right. And I really want to follow the theme of what I have here at the top, which is basically, I think of personalized learning as how you tell stories, right? Storytelling. And then also, as I thought about it in preparation too, it's how we go about creating the process that we do our own things. And so the creativity comes in how we explore, how we research and do all of that stuff. So I don't want to pause anymore. What I do want is a little bit of your participation as well. You feel free to chat in there. And if you have any questions, please put them in there. This is a discussion, everybody. I am here in New Jersey on the East Coast of the United States. We may have folks from all over the world, so please feel free to engage with each other as well. So as I go here, if there's one of these topics that you really want to explore, and I'll ask someone to volunteer later to drop in an idea, please go for that. So I'm going to start in this way, right? So as you can tell, this is kind of how I think. I'm a pretty visual learner. And so I like mind maps. And for me, this is how I like to go about my process. So I utilize this tool right now that's called XMind AI. And the AI part's a little bit overdrawn, but it still helps me put some information together. So why I chose this branch, for example, is that we all want to encourage our students or any learners, like, how do you get to a thought? How do you get to the end point? And we should start to think about how you break down those steps. And so this is how I do it. And I'll just quickly mention why this is actually called AI. So what I could actually do, and you know, this is a little bit beyond, I'll go backwards a little bit, but this is a little, if you see tools like this, and this is the adopted logo for generative AI, the stars icon. So whenever you see that in an application that you're working in, and you'll probably see it in your Google apps or your Microsoft apps, click it and see what happens. In this case, I can't actually click it because I already utilized my free plan. But if I were to do that, what it would do is start to populate ideas, right? So I chose my topic of the royal family, for example, and it would tell me all the structure of and who's there and so forth. So my tip here really is just, if you see like an icon like this on the bottom, wherever it is, just click it and see what it does. That's really the first way that I wanted to explain how, you know, we start this whole mind mapping or brainstorming ideas. What I'm going to bring you into next is kind of what we're probably used to. And again, I'm not taking any assumptions of anybody's knowledge or experience of artificial intelligence. My goal tonight really is just to get you interested and exposed to some tools that you may not have experienced just yet. So if it seems overwhelming, it's because it is, right? And even for someone like me that loves all these tools, they can be here tomorrow and not the next day. They can expand and really create things. But the way that we utilize large language models is similar to this. So if you're looking at this right now, I'm using a tool called perplexity.ai. And basically this is how it starts, right? It's almost like a search engine. So that's the first thing, is what I wanted to talk about, is if I just type this in, artificial intelligence kind of helps us get beyond just the regular search engine. Okay, so in this case, what you're seeing here is that the reason I like this is because it includes actual sources, right? So this may be one way that learners can get to an answer, or they can get to some research. Remember, whenever you're working with artificial intelligence, it's very unique. So I'm not going to always get the same answer, right? Or I'm not going to get, I should say, the same output. And that's what makes it interesting, right? One person might get certain facts and another person will get another. Now, because I was a former technology director, I know there's a whole world of, well, is it correct? Is it valid? Is it safe? I'm going to kind of hold back on those reins for tonight, just to show that, you know, some of the potentials, because that is still to be written, still to be understood. So as I look at this and some of the results, it's just a really expanded version of a search engine, if you think about it. So if I needed images of, you know, the Egyptian pyramids, if I was studying that, or if I needed to find videos, I can go through there. So as we're familiar with, or may not be, we could also ask other questions. So different large language model tools like Perplexity versus ChatGPT versus Google's Gemini, for example, they all do the same thing, but they do it differently, right? Hence, it's how personal you like to use it. And for me, I kind of leaned into this one. And so if I continue on to the questions that are suggested for me, I can go through it. So potentially, what's a use case of this? I mean, we're doing research, and again, maybe your learners are finding different questions on their own, right? And I wrote as one of the questions I had for, you know, like tonight's session was like, how do we get off of some of those initial fears? And really, it's just jumping in and just doing it, just seeing what you can create, what you can find. The other thing I like about some of these tools now is that they let you upload information. So I can actually upload a PDF, I can upload an image, and I can talk to it and I can question it. So let's just say I had a chapter from a textbook and I wanted to find something from that chapter, right? I could do that. So that's why I like certain tools like this, again, just to start getting my thoughts down.
Jason,
Yes.
Sorry, can I just jump in and ask you a question?
Sure.
How like how can educators use a tool like that to, I guess, empower learners to personalize their own journey, or how can educators use it to facilitate personalization?
Yeah, so a lot of it too, what I was thinking, and please, if you have other thoughts, please share them too, is that I'm getting this information, right? And I have to, at this point, I'm taking it for its word, and then maybe I'm picking off one of these topics. These are my choices that I can talk about. Maybe I'm just picking off one of these topics and I'm writing a little bit more about it, or there are some more interesting facts. Another way I was thinking about it, which I can get to, is like if we were doing group work, or if we were trying to research something together. Again, because this is unique to, this answer is unique to me, I might find something that's the person next to me won't. And therefore we can start sharing our ideas, and maybe we're collaboratively finding information about the pyramids. And then one of my other themes of today is like, you start taking this output and you piece it with something else, right? So maybe we have our story and then we create like a quick podcast on it or something. So stuff like that. But that's, I don't want to get too far, but that's kind of where I was leading with that. So beyond this, sometimes the, we want to get a little bit more visual with certain tools. So another one that I like to share is this one called Pi, Pi.ai. And this can also help inspire certain questions that you may have or you didn't have. Because I know if I sit and look at a text box, don't necessarily know what I want to learn about. So in this case, maybe I am just looking for something. So I like this site because it can help, like create some information for me. And so this can inspire, again, some creativity. Maybe, there are words in here like, oh, that's, that MTV video, I remember that. And so that can go into certain information that I might want to find out. And so what I'm asking here is just explore different types of large language models that you have access to, because a lot of things I'm showing you tonight are free, or they are free to a limit per month. And a lot of them are kind of tied to the educational space, and that's what I was trying to focus on tonight. So I'm going to pause here for a second, come back to our main window here, and I wanted to go over some of the things that I wrote down here. So the workflow kind of thing that I was mentioning is that you're going to explore a lot of tools. Your learners are going to explore tools. And the thing that you want to get comfortable with is the tool. So how do I interact with it? Is it easy to pick up? Do I want more details? And so trying everything out is kind of one of my first suggestions. Now that goes along with the tip I have on the bottom, is that if you're a little worried about how this affects, if you work in a school environment, you might not want to, test things out with your work email, your school email, or same thing with your learners. So my suggestion is try it out with another email account. And that's kind of what I do myself. And that way, one, it captures on any of that spam that you're going to get, but also it separates you from a little bit. So create a new email account, just try the tools just to get into it, just to get started. And then the main thing I find is like, you want to try to implement or use a tool multiple times a week. And it doesn't have to be like this extensive thing. It could just be what I just did, which is just search, just play with it, see if it gives you the answers that you're looking for. And then, as I alluded to before, connecting the outputs of some of these tools starts to create your workflow, right? And Kim and I were talking just before the session of he found a tool in his video editing program, and now it's made his workflow a little bit better, a little bit quicker, a little bit easier. Okay. Same thing as I mentioned before, generative AI in itself is unique, right? Every answer that you're going to get, every output is going to be slightly different. And then, of course, creativity is always a work in progress. That, again, goes with the story. So If anybody has a choice, and if not, Kim, I'll ask you to select which one of these topics would we like to explore, which would be helpful to some of you that have any questions. And you can type in the chat or unmute if you want. Anybody?
Organization of thoughts.
Organization of thoughts. Cool. Thank you. All right. So kind of taking it down a level from the brainstorming, right, is how do we kind of put things together? And so some of these might be familiar to you, and if they are, you can chime in. But I chose 3 for tonight, them being Canva, FigJam, and Magic School. So I'm going to go in reverse order here. And Magic School is great. It's free for teachers. It's free for anybody, really. And even if you had to pay, I believe it's like $100 a year for an individual usage. And there's actually, as you look on the top, there's a teacher part and there's a student part. All right. And what you're seeing here as I scroll, and I'll try to scroll slowly, there's so many little options, or think of them as little apps that can help do specific outputs using artificial intelligence. And so like, I'll just click on one just to show you what it looks like if you haven't seen it before. So if I wanted to create a multiple choice quiz, for example, I would, could choose the grade level that I'm working with, choose how many number of questions. And again, anytime you see a button, this is how I always like to learn. They just click things, right? So I can actually dictate what I want. I can actually upload documents and have it try to create a quiz. So if it's some existing document that you already have, you can stick it in there and it'll generate. And so I'll click on this because it'll give me an example. And so we're playing off of this idea where it's give me an assessment or a diagnostic assessment of mitosis. And so it really quickly generated a 5-question quiz to which I can copy it and place it into another program if I needed to. So even if it was like a Google form, for example, if that's what you utilize. So very quickly did I generate a multiple choice quiz or an assessment. So this is potentially more on our side here as educators, but let's take a look again as we go through some of these tools. So many options that you can do. And then there's also an built-in chatbot. So in terms of organizing some of our thoughts, right? We can actually ask the chatbot to do that for us, right? If we gained a lot of information, so you can even say, can you give me a table of information? Can you give me a table with this information? Just copy and paste it. But I'm just wanted to show you what this looks like if you haven't seen it before. This one is very helpful. And there, if you're curious about what's on the student side, this is newer, I think, to this platform. So one that could be helpful in expressing learners in different ways. You can have, songs, different songs. I remember I had a project when we were doing video editing, we were making music videos. And you get very interesting outputs. And so there's a lot of stuff that you can create here. So creating a skit, for example, maybe they want to act this out. They need some help in developing it. So I'll just click this, for example. Let's just click it to see it, which I think that is a great tool, right? It just gives you examples. So if we have some sports fans, right, they can role play. They can be Michael Jordan, they can be LeBron James. And all of a sudden they created this scene, and it's personal to them in the sense that these are people that they relate to. It might inspire them, and they might add their own personality into these characters if they wanted, and they could totally make new characters. So Magic School, I think, is a very interesting one because it's specific to the educational world, if that is whom you work mainly with. I'm looking at the chat here. So Josh's comment as a Magic School pioneer, that's great. Same thing. Oh, mild, medium, spicy. That's great, Eric. Okay, so Amanda, so basically Magic School AI circumvents the need for teachers to learn how to prompt. Yeah, in a sense, I think it's more of actually it's assisting you. And I think in general, a lot of these tools are helping to build those prompts. So I think it's still best if you add some information to, sorry, I'm trying to find something like a worksheet. So if we could stick to it, I can just say, let's go back to my original thought, right? I'll just put in the pyramids. I'm curious what I'm going to get. Yeah. So to answer your question, do you need to be a prompt engineer? The answer is no, but I think the more detailed you are, and the more detailed your learners are, which I think is the skill that at least I was always trying to teach to my students in the classroom, was just ask great questions. The better question that you ask, the more helpful it is in being descriptive. And of course, there are no bad questions necessarily, and they're always going to get an output. So remember that too. Whenever you're working with artificial intelligence, its main goal is to give you an output, and it is up to us to make sure that we verify it and that we make sure we edit. And as you become more and more familiar with the generations of artificial intelligent tools, you'll start to understand kind of what's generated and what's not. Some of this language is interesting. So there's all that type of considerations that you're going to need as well. Josh's comment there, using the Raina chatbot, use it for planning, for student functions. That's great. Give them feedback on their essays. There's even simple things as, I believe one of them, like thank you notes, I think are great, right? So if you wanted to create and generate a real quick thank you note for your colleagues or for your students, they can probably, I think there's probably the student version of this too. I think that also helps keep folks engaged. So they keep adding to this, and it sounds like Josh is a great resource for this, as if his school is one of those that really, really dives into this. So organizing of thoughts, getting back to the original question, for staff, I think this is one way to keep yourself organized. Remember, there is a nice little output history as well. So it saves a lot of the information that you had, because you don't have to reinvent the wheel every single time. And I know I'm clicking quick, I apologize, but I'm just excited. And so if I have to slow down, please let me know. As I go through the Magic Student, let me just go through on the bottom because we didn't get to see it. So yeah, there's thank you notes for there. Sentence starters. So if I think there was a comment about students that are struggling. And so maybe this is one way that we can encourage them to have them start. They can even say they're having trouble in their prompt, say I'm having trouble explaining this. And that might be one way. So each of these tools, they all kind of look the same in how they generate. So it's just specific, and it'll generate output specific to, what this is or what this needs to be. So there's a whole, I'm sure there's a great deal in the background that we're not seeing. Just because I clicked it, I might as well find out. So here we go. If I were just to, I chose an exemplar there. So analyzing the theme of a fictional story, blah, 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 blah. So a lot of very interesting things that we can do. All right. Any other comments on that one? I think that one's a very interesting one. I'm going to move up. I have one listed there, which is a whiteboarding tool. So called FigJam, FIGJAM. It's part of the Figma design set of tools. This one is free for education. If you go to any major education conferences, that they have this really great setup, and they show you everything that you need to do. So they really put in the effort to reach out to the educational community. And again, for educators, it's massively free. And even as an individual, it's $36 a year. And so what are you getting for that? Well, if I were to zoom out, and I was playing a lot because they have such great templates, right? And it's like this endless whiteboard that I can keep going to, and I can link it to other things. But if I needed a storyboard tool and I want students to draw it out instead, we can do that. There's all great templates, and if you're curious, they're just sitting right here for you to kind of just use. So if I were to zoom out, and I was playing a lot because they have such great templates, right? And it's like this endless whiteboard that I can keep going to, and I can link it to other things. But if I needed a storyboard tool and I want students to draw it out instead, we can do that. There's all great templates, and if you're curious, they're just sitting right here for you to kind of just use. So if you're doing meeting agendas, and let's just say it's, I don't know, parent meetings, for example, you want to organize that stuff, you can do that. What I chose here, I was pretending as if we were trying to improve our podcast audience and how do we improve that. And what I really wanted to show in the artificial intelligence part of this is that all of these note cards that I have here, I asked it to create a summary of all of the post-it notes. So if you go back to my example before, and we said we were talking about the Egyptian pyramids, and I had everybody just copy and paste all what they found, and now we're going to create this great article about it. I can actually have everybody copy and paste into a post-it and real quickly summarize everything that's on this whiteboard. And this is what we got. So it's really interesting how you can do that. Let me just show you how you do that, because I always like showing how to do the thing. So all of these note cards, there's just a button here, basically that says summarize. And when I click that, let me see where it's outputting. You can see it in real time that it's actually generating all of the summary information that I asked it to do. Right? Other things it does, it can actually, you can have people vote on things. So if you are familiar with gallery walks, for example, so let's just say these were pieces of artwork, and we were deciding what was the best one. People would just put their stamps on each item, and then we could actually have it count up all of the items in the stamps. So if we were to just corroborate that, in this decrease in new subscribers, there's 2 votes, and then there's 2 votes here. So this is one way to keep yourself organized and keep working there. As I go in the chat, Eric mentioned about Jamboards or Google Jamboards, which is going to be actually sunsetted or ended, so to speak, on October 1st. So yeah, if you do import them in here, if you are currently using Google Jamboards, this is your next step. So organizing thoughts in that way is something else that we can do. I'll just scroll back over just to show you some other things that were there. So if you like lists, right, you can definitely go ahead and create these lists and do everything that you need to do. So this is very helpful because it's not necessarily like overly artificial intelligence-y, but I really enjoy it because there are just so many templates that save you so much time, and could also save any of your learners time if they're just trying to organize and format. Because I find that we spend a lot of time formatting information if we're creating a table, whatever it may be. And of course, one of the larger design tools that's out there, which is Canva. So if you are, again, it's another free product that is really tied to educators. And why I like this one is because if you utilize learning management systems like Google Classroom or Canvas, you can actually send out lessons or work to your students, and they can submit it to you. So I'll give you an example here. If you're not familiar with Canva, it is a design tool with everything. So in this case, I was working on a slide deck, for example, and just, I mean, it's overwhelming when you start, but there's just so much information. Again, I could not do this on my own. It would take hours if I were to do this. So this just helps us facilitate getting the ideas down faster. So one of the first classes I taught was like on PowerPoint and Excel, and every time we were making tables, the students would take so much time just formatting fonts and formatting pictures, but the key is the content, right? And so we want to make sure that that's what we're executing. So in Canva here, really what I was doing here was creating a presentation about documenting information. But there are a couple tools that you can utilize here, which is I can translate real quickly. And so this could be helpful for those language learning, English language learning students, for example, or opposite, where you're going to certain languages, and there are lots and lots of languages. So I would select the language. I actually did this previously, so I chose Arabic, for example. And again, I cannot verify this, so I would most likely ask someone to check this for me. But very quickly, in a matter of seconds, my 5-page presentation is translated, and now I can reach a larger audience. I can potentially explain it, or if I'm learning a different language, for example, that would be one other way. The other thing that I did like in this is that it gives us really quick ways to transform information into different or presentations into different forms. So again, both for us as educators or the learners, you can easily change one piece of content into a lot of different pieces of content. So the example I chose was, maybe I want to make this now a handout at the end of my presentation. What are all the things that I covered? What's the actual content? What are the words? In this case, maybe this was important. What are the tools I was actually talking about in this presentation? So speed to delivery, I think, is one of the hallmarks of any type of artificial intelligence integration into these tools. And even if I just wanted a summary, so if let's say you're grading some of these projects, maybe you just want a quick summary of what was said in these documents. So it could save you as an educator to some grading time, which I think would be helpful. So I just did this one live. I'm curious what I would say. And so there it goes. It just, maybe this is good too for checking on progress of a student. So if they have 4 weeks to do something and they, you want to see what progress they made, you can just create the summary and see if they're on course. So I'm going to pause here for a second, go back to our list. I probably have time for one more. So I'm curious if anybody, first of all, has any new use cases that they thought from some of the tools that they saw, if they have any choices that you want to see. And while they do that, I'm going to just look at the comments as well. All right. We got voice and audio, coaching, personal. I think I could actually fit both of those in. Thanks. Yeah, Prezi and Jamboard. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so let's see. The voice create. Oh wait, which one? Voice. This one's a tough one. Let me see. What do we got? Yeah, let's do voice creation first, actually. So one that I like, and let's see if I can do this. Well, I'll just show it first. So if you're not familiar with 11 Labs, 11 Labs is probably I guess the leader in this. And actually, let me try to do this so you can hear it. So I'm going to stop sharing for a second. Greg, to answer your question, I will drop a link to the mind map, and it's actually all expanded and you'll get all that. So I'll do that in a moment. See if I can present the tab so you can hear. And then let me know if you hear. So 11 Labs is basically like a voiceover. So I'm sure you've probably heard or seen of some of those where it took a celebrity's voice and it said something that they never said. This is one of the tools that does that. And it's scary, but really cool at the same time. So yes, it is pretty interesting. So I'll just choose this.
In the ancient land of Eldoria, where the skies were painted with shades of mystic hues and the forests whispered secrets of old, there existed a dragon named Zephyros. Unlike the fearsome tales of dragons that plagued human hearts with terror, Zephyros was a creature of wonder and wisdom, revered by all who knew of his existence.
I hope you heard that. If you didn't hear that, that was just a long pause. But what it was doing is just reading as a voice, and there are endless amounts of voices that you can pick, and you can actually translate this as well. I think I saw a hand come up. Okay, great. You heard it. That's awesome. So this is great. This is, I wouldn't say this is free all the time. This one, because it is very high quality, as if you heard, it's very smooth. And like I said, I think it's one of the premier ones that is out there. And so how does this help certain learners? Well, a couple ways, right? If you're having trouble, reading or something, or if you just, sometimes someone's voice isn't very helpful to you, like you can just change voices, right? Or if it's a different language, you can actually have it translated. Again, I don't know the accuracy of this, but it's worth a try to find out if it helps. So if you have students that need help maybe with they receive things better audibly, or they are having trouble communicating, maybe they just type it in and then they can submit that to you so that they don't have this fear of them saying it out loud. So when a student doesn't like a tone, for example, they can change it. Yeah, that's one thing I was thinking about too. And then it's also, if I mentioned podcasts before, like you can like really easily make a podcast from a piece of text. So if someone's afraid of talking on a mic, getting on a camera, this could be their first step, right? Hearing or utilizing someone else's voice. Now I'll mix and match because someone requested the video and audio. So what you could actually do, and this is what I was talking about, taking it a step further, is you can actually like use an AI avatar. And so this site here is called Synthesia. I believe it's a Swedish company. And you can actually just drop the script in there, utilize the voices. Oh, sorry, you're not seeing it. Let me switch tab, sorry. So many tabs. Oh, here it is. Okay. So if you can actually put these things together, and like I could take the voice in there and stick it in here and create that generated voice and stick it into an AI video avatar and create a whole visual lesson if I wanted to. Again, it's very interesting, scary at the same time. Here, I'll play it so you can get a sense.
Hi, I'm Julia, and I'm an AI avatar. With Synthesia, you can easily turn text into studio quality training videos, create a free video, and give it a try.
So again, it's free to a point. I believe you could do one or a couple minutes each month. But again, something that you can try. Very simple. It almost is seriously like you're just dropping that text in there. You're picking a character, you're picking a template, and then you let it do its thing. It's very interesting to create, and the reason I like it is because it makes it accessible, right? Not everybody has a camera setup or a microphone setup like I do, for example, where it's really, I hope it's nice and clear, but you can just give them that help, right? I mean, the lighting on there is set up, so you don't need this huge setup is what I'm trying to get at. You can just create. And even if you're having a bad day, you can create through this and get your message across. I'm going to go back to some of the other sound ones. Sorry, I'm jumping, but I'm trying to fit as many as I can. I'm hoping that you kind of enjoy these. This one is interesting too, which is called Suno. Oops. So Suno is a music creation application. And so let me play something I created. And so it'll create like a minute, 2-minute song. And I literally just typed laid back, chill, lo-fi, and that's what I get. And you can actually make these public. So, the thought I had here is like, I like to listen to this type of music when I'm working. So maybe this can put your students or your learners in a certain environment that they feel comfortable. And it's original, it's theirs, it's their personal thing. It's, and they can kind of lay claim to it, so to speak. So Suno is very easy. Again, I'll just demonstrate, and you can see like, you can actually put lyrics to a song if you wanted to. I mean, I guess I could just do surprise me and see what happens. And it'll just start creating some information. So it's very simple. This is very approachable, which I think is helpful. And there you go. It kind of created a song for me. So, even if it's something that you wanted to create just for, the first day of school, like for some of us, we're starting school, and maybe you can just start and get some inspiration here. You can create a first day of school song and just play that. And maybe that'll be your anthem for the whole year. I don't know, but you can create it, the lyrics if you wanted to. in a different type of style, and it just like really just hit this button, and 2 minutes later you're going to have something. So it's really cool. This one I believe you get monthly, so I think you can kind of keep going with this. And Suno, if you're a Microsoft user, I believe it's part of the Microsoft Copilot platform of artificial intelligence tools. So if you have license to Microsoft or your organization has it, then see if they can utilize that through Copilot. So again, all these different ways to create, all these different ways to interact with different folks. And there's also a community here, right? So a lot of these you can just start to explore.
Oh, the tale of young love and sorrow.
So again, just create another Gmail account, log into these things, and like see what you can get to, because it's really, really fun. I'm going to pause here for a second. I want to see if anybody has a comment while I get this link to my little mind map there, so you can explore for yourself. So it's going to be a Google Drive link. I want to see if there's something I wanted to show. Oh, I'll do the real quick personal wellness ones, because I think these I can't really show you, but I do want to show you what they are. So I came across these tools here. So one is called Alongside. So it's alongside.care is the website. And so you'll see it on that sheet that I dropped. So alongside.care. What it is basically an application where you can, let me see if I can just find the, actually, I'll just play the video.
Hey there, I'm Ava, and welcome to students like you. I'm so excited for you to learn more about it. One of my favorite features in the app is the chat feature. It's so great to have a space where I can privately talk about what I'm going through at any time I need to.
QE can give advice, a space to vent, and help boost your mood.
Here's how to use it. Once you open up the chat, you can start typing how you're feeling. And if you're not exactly sure, no worries. QE's there to help. If you click the Discover button above, there'll be a few prompts that could give you ideas on some of the problems you might be struggling with and want to talk about in the app. Remember, this is a judgment-free zone, so feel free to share as much or as little as you like. If you're having a serious mental health crisis, or you talk about harming yourself, others, or being abused or harassed, QE will alert a school counselor or after-hours support. You may have a few questions to answer and a link to call or text 988, and we'll share your answers with your counselor along with your name and email. That way, we can make sure that you stay safe and have access to the support and help you need. But the resources on the app don't just stop there.
So I won't play the whole thing, but if you want to explore that, I think it's pretty cool how you can just talk to a bot. Now, this is built by clinicians, so there's a lot of science behind it. If you were to adopt this in school, I would definitely explore and talk to them a little bit more. But as you saw there, I know they utilize a lot of older teenage students, college kids to interact with some of the students. And so I think it's well thought out. I haven't used it myself, but there is a demonstration of it that you can play with on their site, which I think is helpful. And along those lines, there's another one that I just found, which is called Summit. So it's summit.im. And basically it's like kind of like a life coach type thing. But if you're trying to achieve certain goals or trying to like build a habit, it's like an interesting app or coach that you might have. So you could just say, I'm training for a marathon, help me there. And it'll give you that like inspiration or that motivation that you need or that check-in. So it's more or less like a really cool notification system for yourself. So if it's something for you, if it's something for your learners, again, I just found this one, so I don't know to its efficacy, but definitely looks like you can download it for free. And at this point, again, I always like to try anything because before they start making you pay for it, you can see if it actually works, if it actually has merit, if it actually helps certain individuals. So tools like this, I think, are really, really helpful. And as they develop, especially with artificial intelligence tools, if you give them 6 months, the whole thing's going to change in a good way. It's just going to be really, really expanded when you start viewing that. I am going to pause for a moment, and because I know we're coming up on time here, and as I said, there's like a lot going on that we can continue to explore. And if you were able to get that document that I sent out, which has all of this information in there, you can really explore for yourself. So I'm going to pause one moment to see if there are any comments or questions. If not, I do want to tell you one more that I was playing with, but I'll pause for a few seconds. All right, I guess everybody wants more. Okay, this one I find really interesting. So this one is called Leonardo.ai. And it started off as just text to image, meaning I would put in a prompt and it would give me an image. Now it's actually got this like real-time generation thing. So I'm not sure if anybody's seen this before, but let's say it's 2 children walking in the park. So, all right. So as you could saw, it's real-time generation. And Alfonso, great observation. That's also why I bring this up. Canva actually acquired this company, Leonardo AI. So eventually these tools are going to be built into Canva. And if you roll that back, Canva for educators is free. And so you're going to have hopefully access to this. I'm not going to, don't quote me on that, but that's what my feeling is. So real-time generation is wild. And as you can see, I just typed it in and it's not perfect. So remember, everything needs to be verified. Everything needs to be updated. And if you are exploring artificial intelligence, you're going to see real quickly where the quote unquote fakeness is. And artificial intelligence always has a problem with hands. In this case, also a face. But interestingly enough, right, I can just like click sliders and make it more of something else, and it just keeps generating things. And so this is another way for us to, again, going back to this original idea of telling stories, being interactive, engaging folks, being personal, like, because this again is it's kind of a one of a kind thing. Like no one else is going to have this image. Hopefully there are tools you can make this look better, by the way. So real-time generation is wild. Then there's even this thing called real-time canvas. So it looks like on the left here, I just drew a whole, and I'm sorry, this is dark, but it's probably because my background is black. But I just drew a bunch of lines, and if I move these lines, it'll change the image on the other side, which is wild, right? And then I could just like delete this and see what happens. And it just keeps changing it. And then you just click things and it just like that. I don't know, maybe we could pay for that. But it just does things so fast, and it's just wild what it can do. Again, scary and really cool at the same time. So take that for what it is. But the idea is that if nothing else, it generates curiosity. It's generating creativity, or at least inspiring me, because you can tell I'm really excited about this stuff. So if you are an educator and this really becomes part of all the tools in Canva, you have such a wide variety of stuff. And if you're curious, I was playing with this one before. The great thing about these programs is that there's a community behind it, and everything is shared. Meaning your prompt, right? We talked, do you have to be a prompt engineer? The answer is no, right? There's a copy prompt button right here. I can just copy the same thing, do it for myself. I will not get this, but I can do it for myself. And at least, again, it saved me some steps, and it saved me potentially from the frustration of trying to figure out everything that I need to put in. But as we get to the learning part of things, again, this is wildly descriptive. Like there's a lot of information in here. and I can continue to add to that and see what I get. So that's a lot of the information that you can get just from some of these tools. And it is fun as you scroll through. If you need a break from scrolling like social media apps, scroll AI apps, because you're going to get some interesting creations. You're going to get some really helpful tools, specifically if you're planning things or trying to organize. So I just wanted to make sure I showed you that, because I really enjoy showing off some of these tools. All right, I actually did get through a lot of the information I wanted to show, so I really appreciate everybody's attention and participation. My camera just fried, so I'm switching cameras. Okay, so I really appreciate everybody's participation and helpfulness, everybody in the chat. If there's anything that you want to discuss more about, reach out to us. If you join Ed3 DAO and the Mighty Networks, we'll definitely see you out there. So Kim, if you want, I'll let you close it up.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jason. Really appreciate you giving this presentation, and also for stepping in, and we do apologize on behalf of Dr. Mike. He was looking forward to presenting this, but had a personal matter that he had to attend to. So thank you for your understanding. We hope that was of value. Like Jason said, you're welcome to join our free community in Mighty Networks. I shared the link in the chat, and we'd love to get your feedback. We're trying to host more of these events, so let us know what you're looking for, what sort of things we can improve on, and what sort of topics you want us to talk about. We can get more speakers. But thank you again, Jason. That was absolutely legendary, and thank you everyone for joining us.
Appreciate you. Be well, everybody.